Hello, guys. Welcome back to Two Mediums and a Large. We took a short break, but we're back and ready to take on 2026. We hope that you guys all had a very new year, and we're excited. So I'm back here with Robbie and Heather. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Howdy.
And today we're just gonna do what we always do, open conversation, talk about what's been on our minds, how the holidays were, and yeah. So how was everything treating you guys over the holidays?
For me, it was a very quiet holiday for me. I This is the first year that I've really been alone during the holidays. Quite honesty, I loved it. It was I always thought I never really have been a huge holiday person, and I think that's because my birthday is the day right after Christmas. So it was kind of ruined for me from the very beginning. And so, I've never really been that type of person. There was a period for about 10 years I really got into it. And then now it's not like I don't celebrate it. It's just I've never really celebrated it. So being alone, I kind of thought, "Ooh, I don't know what this is going to be like." I loved it. It was great.
So
Not having
nice
to
to
pit up with family you don't really want to, and things like that. It was great. How about you guys,
yeah.
Heather?
Tell us how you really feel. Meeting up with family and really didn't want to. Um, I mine was actually cut short. The weather here, a couple things. The weather here was not good at all. Like every day it's been snowing or freezing rain, so that's made travel very challenging. And I was sick too, so I didn't really get to enjoy too much food or drinks or family time. I kind of just rested, but I feel like it was needed because I know we've talked about this so much, but I really do feel like 2026 is a really big year for all of us. And I feel like sometimes you have to, spirit will kind of slow you down to take that rest that's needed to gain that momentum going forward. So I feel like, looking back on it, everything happens for a reason. It's so cliche, but I feel like in this case it was a needed rest. But I did get a chance to see everyone on Christmas Eve. I went to church with my parents, which was really nice. So my mom enjoys that. So yeah, that was fun.
Great.
Nice.
Sorry you were sick, but it's great that it was like that.
Thanks, Robbie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. And I do want to correct, it's not I don't like seeing my family. There are just some members of your family you don't want to be around. I just want to correct that. We all have that.
That's true. I think that's for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
Lara,
know
how was
what?
yours?
I'm jealous that you guys had, well, a lot of quiet time. My time was like busy and quiet. I did spend a lot of time resting, just like you guys. I don't know, something hit me over the holidays. I was just really tired and I didn't do nearly as much as I normally do. Normally I'm like, go, 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 let's, different social events. But this year I just found myself just wanting to kind of retreat and be home with the family. Even my kids were the same way. And that rest was really needed because I feel so much better now. Like I was saying, like so energetic. Yeah, so I'm really happy to be back.
I think that's something that because I know we talked about this offline, is that we were all feeling that kind of tired, rest, no energy, just kind of stale, nothing happening type thing. And I think it's important to tell our listeners that when you do this kind of work, when you do anything and your body is telling you to rest. There's a reason for it. It's not like you're going to miss out on anything. For me, I know more than likely my guides were telling me it was a recalibration, that my
That's what it felt
energy,
like.
yeah, my energy was raising higher than my body was catching up to it. And I
Yeah.
felt that really, because it was like every day I'd wake up and I would still be tired, no matter what time I went to bed. And I think it's just important for everybody to realize that no matter how long you've been doing this, it you have to rest when your body calls it. It's part of taking care of your temple, as we call it.
Oh
And
yeah.
a lot of times the downloads that you get or the new information or the upgrades, they need that rest to integrate into your body so that you can be better. And so yeah, I don't want people to feel guilty for resting. I know we're in such a hustle and bustle type world, and that's really something I have still have to work on, is still being in that mentality that if I'm not working 24 hours a day, nothing is coming to me. And
True.
that's the type of world we live in now, and the type of thought processes. But I will tell you, um, there's been a point over the past couple of months where I, like we talked about, been tired, just not wanting to put the effort out there, that things have still been coming to me. And it's made me realize, you know what? I don't have to kill myself to be successful. And I think that's important for us to listen to our bodies in that way.
Yeah. For me, I noticed that like I took like what 2 to 3 weeks off, and sometimes you just need time, like not even to meditate, to do nothing, like
Yeah.
whatever it is you want. But I did notice like I felt really distant from spirit, and I don't know, something's wrong with my light here. Sorry, guys. I felt
Okay.
really distant from spirit. Everything felt really quiet. I felt disconnected from myself. Like I know my body needed that rest, so it did feel like a recalibration, like you had said. Um, but I do, however, think even if you're taking that rest, I think that sitting in the power is part of self-care and rest. And I noticed when I started doing that, my intuition became so much stronger again. Like I had taken like 3 weeks off of that. And I was like, oh, like I couldn't connect. I couldn't do any of that. I didn't do any readings. And once I started like moving back into that and getting back in that routine, my energy like just exploded. Like I had so much more energy. I felt better. I felt more rested. Things were more clear. So, I mean, rest, but also take time to still meditate a little bit when you can, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's about creating your container, right? Being able to have the structure and the discipline that you need, what they call divine masculine part of you. And some people, when you talk about divine masculine, they talk about, oh God, here goes ego and the masculine part of yourselves. And that's not what it's about. It's really not. It's about structure and discipline and boundaries and setting what I just, your container so that when you start receiving messages and the divine feminine energy starts coming in, it has a place to settle. Because if you don't have that container built, it'll just drain you. And I think that's part of what my issue was that I needed to work on building my container, creating more boundaries, better boundaries, and discipline around meditation. And I do want to, when I say discipline around meditation, that doesn't mean that I've set myself, so, okay, this is the time it's going to be every day, all day. No, it's just, doing it on a consistent schedule. And, because you having that discipline is going to help you start bringing stuff in. Heather, what do you think about that?
It's funny because I wanted to comment on what you just said because I feel like a lot of people will be able to relate to this. When you make a mindset shift, and I've been doing quantum jumping actually the last little bit, where I've jumped to alternate versions of myself to pull back vibrations of, like, say for example, more successful versions of myself. You can use different aspects. It doesn't always have to be the same thing. You can jump into, like, I've been doing vibrant health lately because I've faced health challenges recently. So I've really been doing a lot of jumps in regards to that. But what you said there, Robbie, is it makes so much sense. And a lot of people, I feel like they miss this part of the, I wanted to say action plan. I don't know if that's the right word, but when you're trying to manifest or like shift a mindset, you need the ability to actually, it's not just, making that shift. You need the ability to be able to maintain and hold it. And that's what you were talking about when you said the container, right? You need the ability to hold that vibration. You may be able to hold it for like a day or two, but then you kind of fall out of alignment. But a lot of times it's because you don't have the capacity to hold that vibration long term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. And a lot of times it's hard to, because we're all tired. We all have these things coming in, and you just want to say, I'll just rest today. And then you look up and it's been 3 weeks, and that's all you've done. And it's like, oh crap, I haven't built my container yet. And I know it's weird. I keep saying container. I don't know why I'm doing it. Maybe it's channeled. I don't know. But um, it's important, not only for you yourself, but in the work that you do. And it isn't just psychic work or spiritual work. It's anything that you do. You've got to have boundaries around it. In fact, I think we've talked about boundaries before, together with, clients and, some of the sitters that will call you at, 12:30 in the morning or things like that. And you just have to say, I'm protecting my energy and not going to do this. And that's just part of discipline and setting your container.
Yeah.
I agree.
Lara, I think you mentioned last night that you had a topic that you wanted to talk about today. Would you like to start that?
Yeah. So I was just thinking that we're not trying to ruffle any feathers here, but I do think it's it's a
Maybe.
topic that many of us think about as we are going on through our development, but just in general, religion. Okay. So we've all grown up with different religions, different outlooks, and I'm not here to say what is right and what is wrong. More of just an open conversation on to what are our belief systems surrounding this, and what do we believe? Um, I guess, what do I believe when it comes to what is said in the Bible, right? Like, I'm not here quoting, I don't preach like I know everything that is there in the Bible. But what I do sit and think about sometimes is we all have this idea that we want to live and have no sins and live by, what's listed in the Bible and God's rules and whatnot. Um, Now, forgive me if I'm wrong here, but shouldn't God be non-judgmental into our mistakes and who we are? Like, we are all learning, we're all trying to go down this path. Not this path specifically, but our own path, whether this be spiritual or non-spiritual, and we're all here learning. I've heard people say, like, you know, and this is like a trigger warning for some, that their children won't go to heaven if they are not baptized. Like, why, if God is all loving, all knowing, why is there this idea of like punishment if you don't follow in the exact footpath of God? Why is there this belief system that you have to live by these rules or you are not going to get into heaven? Like, why is there so much fear around this? Why are we not okay to be ourselves? What I truly believe, I believe in God on some capacity. I believe that being source energy, right? Source energy, God. I I grew up religious on that front. I don't claim to know everything. I went to like catechism. I did all of this stuff. Okay. But as I grew up, there were things that didn't resonate with me, and there were things that did. So I was able to form my own feelings on what worked for my belief system, right? And apply that to my life. Now, if I'm gonna sit, I pray. I pray all the time, right? But when I'm praying, I'm not just praying to God. Sometimes I will address God. And when I think of God, I think of source energy. I don't believe it's one man specifically that is God, right? I believe that we are all praying to the same thing, the same energy. And that is what we believe. And that energy does not punish you. That energy lives within all of us. And I think the only judgments of us after we pass are that of ourselves and what we have achieved in that lifetime, right? I don't believe that there is somebody saying you can get into heaven if you followed and you did everything right, because I think that we're all working to, like, if you think about life. Now, sorry, I know I'm rambling, but if you think about life, you are working towards, everyone's working towards something because they want to leave something behind. But like, why not work towards you? And when you pass to spirit, it's not about what you did in the light of God. It's about what you did for yourself. It's for your own soul's evolution. It's not about doing right by one person. Everybody has to be copycats of the same people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Is it
And I
making
think
sense? I don't know.
yeah, I think the question I think that the question you're asking is a question that we all ask at some point, is, if there is a God out there, for instance, let's just take the Christian God. If there is a God out there that truly loves you, why is he punishing you for not loving him? Right? Why would that be a punishment for turning away and saying, this is not what I accept? It really throws some confusion in your mind, and that I grew up a Southern Baptist until I was about 13 years old. And at that point, you guys know me, the people, our listeners know me. I'm not ashamed to say this. But at that point, I knew very well that I was gay, and that every time I went to church, I was being told I didn't belong there because of who I was. And so
Yeah.
I left and I became an atheist for years because I thought, why would there be a God that doesn't like me, even though he created me this way? And I know that there are going to be people that are going to say he didn't create you that way, you chose to. And to that I just say, if you're straight and you're telling me, it's a choice to be gay, my question to you is, when do you choose to be straight? Okay, that's the question I have, and I'm not trying to ruffle feathers. Again, it's just those are some of the thoughts that come in my head, when people say that thing. But that's why I really stepped out of religion. Um, but it was also because I was feeling and seeing and understanding some of the things psychically around me, but didn't know what they were, right? And immediately I went to, these are demons, and these things are trying to kill me, and I'm going to go to hell if I give into it. So again, I blocked those off myself because I thought it's, there's not a God. What is going on here? But when I started stepping into spirituality, and because I believe like you, Lara, I think when I think of God, I consider that source energy. I think, and you can call it spirit, you can call it whatever you want, but it is the same thing. And you start
Yeah.
looking at all the different religions around the world, and you start seeing that they're, when it comes down to it, they're the same thing. They
We're
really
all
are.
praying to the same. Yeah.
We're all praying to the same God. We just have different ways of doing it, different rules. And something that I like to tell my sitters, because believe it or not, there are a lot of people that come to me that have um, abilities that they need to awaken. And the number one block that I find are religious blocks because they're afraid to access it. Because one, I don't know what I'm going to access. And two, they've been told most of their lives that it's a sin to access it. You can't contact God yourself. You have to go through somebody else. Or that these are spirits that are playing with you, or the devil, or whatever. And it just to help them understand that this is one of the reasons why they can't connect, because they've stopped themselves from it. But
Yeah.
religion plays a huge role in what we do. And what I tell them is religion and spirituality are not mutually exclusive. You don't have to do one and not pay attention to the other. You can do both. You can still have your religion and practice spirituality, and have these abilities and practice mediumship or channeling or whatever it is you do. Because the longer you do it, you're going to start seeing what you see as the truth in these religions. And kind of like you, back off of the things that don't resonate and dig deeper into the things that do. And
Yeah.
I will say that's one of the things I'm the most happy about from stepping into myself and the work that I do, is that it's given me faith in something that I haven't had faith in a very long time. And it gave me faith in a higher power. And I never thought that would happen, but it did. So I say that to say, I really personally, I believe religion was built as a controlling device. If you look at the Bible, like one of the original Bibles in Ethiopia, and see how much different it is than the versions of the Bible today, you kind of think to yourself, wow, why were things changed? Why were things taken out? Why were things put in that really control us? But that's just could be my wacko crackpot theory, but that's what I feel. Heather, what about you?
It's so funny because I literally just wrote it down on my paper, three words, keeping you small. And I was thinking as you were talking, I'm like, how can I say this? Because I don't want to offend anyone. That's not never my goal, because we all have different belief systems. But I feel like in the 3D world that we live in, there's multiple things that have been structured to keep us small. And I remember going to my niece's baptism. Sorry, I think it was a communion actually. And I remember listening to priest, and I thought, religion a lot of times teaches you that you need an intermediary. You need that person to talk to God. And a lot of people don't realize that you actually can talk to God yourself. And we do this every single day. And I feel like exactly what you just said there, Robbie, this has been constructed to keep you small, because when you're small, that you're easily divided, right? That you see that in the world today, especially. I feel like that is like magnified. And I feel like if people really knew their true power, and I feel like this path has taught me how to tap in. Or I shouldn't say it, because I posted that quote today. It's not about tapping into power, it's about removing the blocks that keep you from accessing that power.
Right.
So I feel like a lot of times what's happened is religion has I don't
Just
want to
say
offend, I don't want to offend anyone, but I feel like a
Right.
lot of things, not just religion, but I feel like a lot of things have kept people small and kept them, thinking that, they can't shift things, or that they can't change things, or that they don't have any power. And this path has shown me that it is actually quite the opposite, that you actually have all the power and you can actually transform and change everything.
I would agree. And I personally, I don't know about you guys, but over the last year in 2025, I kind of proved that to myself, that we have the power to change our path, because I think we've talked about, maybe not here on the podcast, but we've talked before about some of the low points that I was in my life this past year, and just by changing my mindset and understanding that I was causing a lot of it just by saying things like, I can't do this, or um, I'm not allowed to do this, or everybody hates me, or those type of things. I was creating that environment myself.
Yeah.
So when I turned and started saying things like, I am learning how to do this, or that person may not like me, but that doesn't mean everybody doesn't. It's just small mindsets and understanding yourself to understand how much power you do have. But I don't disagree with you at all, Heather. I think a lot of religion was created to keep people from understanding who they truly are, and that's part of what I know I do, and part of what you guys do is not to give somebody a gift, not to say, hey, this is what it's to help them understand they have it inside of them anyway, to let them see specifically, this is the block that's keeping you from going. And it's so amazing that when I do this and I say, this is a block or limited belief, and their eyes light up and go, oh my God, I did not realize that. It's been there and I just didn't understand that's what was happening. And that is one of the best things in the world, is when you help somebody understand themselves better.
It was a huge block for me when I started in my mediumship. I was having a hard time because, for one, I knew people were going to look down on me, like family members and stuff. And there's actually some family members I haven't really spoken to very much since they found out what I do. But I just think that like I really needed to like form that opinion on of myself and what I truly believed in around religion, because there were things that really didn't resonate with me about the way people were choosing to live and the way people were taught that this is the way it has to be. And especially, I mean, especially when I heard people that say, like, my child won't go to heaven. That is so false. And from all the readings I've done, I've never encountered that. I work with a lot of religious spirits that were religious in their physical lives that now they understand it better. And I've worked with some that aren't. And when I tell you, we all go to the same place, regardless of those choices we make. Of course, we want to live our life in a way that is loving. We want to be kind to others. We don't want to go out, spreading hate and violence. Okay. We don't want to do that. But at the end of the day, the only one that's going to judge us on the other side is going to be our own soul when we have our soul review and we are going through that, right? That is going to be the judgment that we lay on ourselves. And that is going to be what we have to heal from on that side. I don't believe that we're going to be punished by anybody or stuck into some nowhere kind of dimension, essentially, And what I do believe is that I know that it's supposedly wrong what we do in the eyes of people, at the church and stuff like that. It's considered to be wrong. But we are moving in the light of God, essentially. We are doing the work of helping people heal. We are connecting to our souls. We are trusting in love over everything. So I don't see how that can be a negative. We're not sitting here summoning, witchcraft to hurt people. We're sitting here literally tuning in and trying to find the best way to be and just be expansive with our mindsets, right?
I agree, and what, you said it just a minute ago about even in the people that are religious say, in the Bible, you're not supposed to talk to these things because whatever reason it is. Heather gave a quick, blurb or verse earlier about what it says. But the question I have for that, and it's not an, like, I'm not trying to offend anybody, it's not an argumentative question. It is a question because I don't understand how people can look at us and say that, but they can look in the Bible, these stories that are thousands of years old, and hear of somebody talking to God or seeing angels or getting prophecies from God themselves and saying, oh, that's okay because that's in the Bible. But when you do it, it's wrong.
Yeah,
that's kind of where it comes into me is like,
makes
okay,
no
why is it
sense.
so right for these people 2000 years ago, but for me, I'm going to hell for it? It's the same thing. They were speaking to God.
People are scared of
They were,
what they don't understand.
yeah, they are. Because you're right. They do think that some people think that we sit at home in our free time and conjure up demons to tell
Yeah,
us what is happening tomorrow. But some people don't understand when they think about psychics is yes, there are some out there that do great divination, that can give prophecy, that can tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. But the majority of us just want to help you in your life today, just want to
yeah,
give you conversation with a past loved one to help you with your grief, or to get answers about where they put the diamond ring before they died. You know, those are things that we're not trying to say, everybody is going to die tomorrow, because that's just not what most of us do. Some people do and are very good at it, but most of us just want to help people discover who they really are.
It's all about separating you from your power. For me,
Yeah,
it always comes back to that, right? Because like I wrote this down. I said, how can healing be demonic? My
yeah,
my goal is to help you heal, to show yourself how to heal yourself. How is that demonic?
right,
That's you stepping fully into your power and taking accountability for your life so that you can live the best life, so you can have the things that you want. How is that demonic?
right. Especially, I know I was taught in Reiki, and Heather, I'm sure you were too, that Jesus was a Reiki master, right? He's one of the ascended masters. I've people the way we've talked about religions today, people may listen to this next statement and say, okay, they're all crazy. But I work with Jesus in healing all of the time. I will call in archangels. I will call in, Mary. I will call in all the help I need to help this person get through what they need to. And I think the healing too is something that people sometimes misinterpret, because when we talk about healing, we're not talking about raising somebody from the dead or curing your blindness. We're talking about healing the parts of yourself that have been so hidden and so broken for so long that you need some energy to help get those moving and help get them out of your system so you
Yep.
can be better. Um, so I think that was a very good point, Heather, because a lot of people do think healing is demonic, and it's not. It's not.
And I just want to clarify, just when I said to get you the things that you want, I meant like abundance, the
Yeah,
relationship that you deserve, freedom from limiting beliefs, those types of things, right?
yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, it's always interesting to kind of have these open conversations because I don't think enough people are having them. And, you know, there are a lot of people that are not only afraid because of what they've heard from the Bible or whatever, religion they've grown up with from movies, but also afraid of if they don't resonate with exactly what was taught or what, their parents or grandparents think that they are different and they're going to be shunned out. Right. And I think people would be surprised how many people are actually very open to this, but they don't talk about it.
Right.
So many
They don't.
people that I give like first time readings to, and it's amazing to hear like they're like, I've never done this. Like, my family doesn't believe in it, but like I believe in it and I'm so drawn to it. And I think there's so many people that aren't talking about how many experiences they have and what they believe in. I think literally everybody is waking up to this reality of this, you like these worlds can be blended together in this capacity if you can tune into that energy and you can learn to quiet down your life and quiet down the noise of what we thought everything was going to be. I truly believe we were meant to be here at this time because this is when we're going to have the most awakening in the collective, right? And I think that having these uncomfortable conversations, these ones that might ruffle some feathers, but might help a few people that are listening move
Right.
closer to their authenticity. If you want to live um, by the rules of the Bible, I support you. That is okay. Like that is completely somebody's choice, and I'm not against it. There are things in there that resonate with me, and then there are things that don't. And that's where I just couldn't bring myself every Sunday to go to church because I was like, I felt like I was living a lie for myself. And my mom is super religious, and she also like she believes in mediumship. She carries her doubts, but like I've seen when things have like kind of came to her right in her face and she's like, her mind starts expanding a little bit, but then the fear tenses everything back up, right? So it's been hard to kind of navigate that life. And I think that that's hard for a lot of people. So I just thought this would be an important topic to know that, like, you can get through it and you can still have the love of your family, but you need to be true to yourself and know that you're not going to be shunned off in the afterlife for being who you are.
That's a big thing in mediumship development because that came up for me because I'm the same as you. I was raised going to church. I went to Sunday school, I've been baptized,
Same.
communion. I used to go to youth group. And having the experiences that I did as a young child, I was always taught from, the Bible and people around me that what I was experiencing was demonic, that it was bad. So, I had all these experiences and I got to a point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. I was like, this is the path I know I need to follow. But you've got all that trauma that you now need to clear out and remove because you grow up watching movies like The Exorcism, thinking that, like, if I connect to something, it's going to possess my body, which I can assure you is not going to happen. Um, and it's like you've got so much religious trauma to go through. So I feel like what Robbie said in the beginning about, one of the biggest blocks that we see in the community is religious trauma and people thinking that like there's something inherently wrong with them or that they're evil or that they're going to go to hell. And I can assure you that nothing could be further from the truth.
Yeah. And what you said earlier about division as well, because I think a lot of what, and it's not even in the spiritual, it's not even just in the spiritual arena now. It's pretty much every single thing that happens
Right?
is we've gotten into this right versus wrong, good versus bad, I'm better than you mentality. And it really breaks people down when they feel like they're on the wrong side of that equation, right? Or you have all these peer pressure tactics of people telling you that's wrong, you shouldn't do that, you're going to hell. All of this, it really messes with your mind big time because you think, well, if people like this is a question that I've had for a very, very long time that I never could understand. And it was basically, okay, people can tell me and God can tell me that I can go to hell simply for being gay. But you're telling me that somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer could be in prison and the day before he dies accepts the Lord and he's going to heaven because he's accepted the Lord. What kind of
Yeah.
sense does that make? That a mass murderer gets to go to heaven just because he accepted the Lord, but me, who has not hurt anybody in his life, has to go to hell simply because of the way I was born. And those type of inconsistencies really bothered me when I was younger, because it was like, how can somebody who's so horrible get a free pass just because they say, okay, I'm ready now. I'll accept you and you forgive me and everything's been done, and that will really mess with you. But again, it's that good versus bad mentality, right? That they want to separate us, they want to divide us because they know that if we come together and we all believe in ourselves, that we're very, very powerful and they won't have the control that they do anymore.
Think
You know what's
about
interesting?
how the world would be, though, if everyone worked on themselves, if everyone stopped looking externally and fighting, right? Because that's why they do it. You're so much easier to control when you're not in your power, right? Because now
Yeah,
all you're doing is fighting amongst each other,
right.
right? But if
True.
everyone was in their power and actually working on themselves, this world would actually be a heck of a lot better place.
It would be.
You're right.
Sorry, Lara, I
It
didn't mean
would
to
be.
cut you off.
No, 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 that's okay. I was just thinking that before I even found my way into, spirituality on that front, I remember thinking, I was like, I didn't know what I needed. I just felt like I was like, oh, this doesn't resonate with me. This doesn't resonate with me. Like I was trying to find my place and I wanted to be a part of something. I felt like I was like, I didn't know where I belonged. I wanted to be a part of something. And I was like, maybe I need to go back to church. Maybe I just need to like get closer to that and really explore that. And as I was starting to explore that, I was like, oh, like that's not it. That's not what I'm feeling, you know? And I think so many people want to be a part of something. They want to be accepted. They want to feel like, a sense of community. And that's, I think, a lot of the big thing about church too. It's like you go every Sunday, you see people, you connect. We're like-minded people. We're forming the same, belief systems. And that is beautiful in itself, right? And there's not enough people that do this in the spiritual community. I know there's small, like spiritualist churches and stuff, but a lot of people, they do this quietly. And that's where they get lonely, right? Because they're not a part of these communities they want to be with anymore. And so I think it's a big sense of like wanting to be a part of something. And some people, I bet you within the church, probably aren't resonating with it, but they do it because it makes them feel accepted, right?
Right.
And some of us go out on our own and, we have to work a little harder to find that sense of community. And a lot of the time we need to find that acceptance within our own souls and be okay with walking that path alone for a bit or entirely if that's what's going to resonate with us, right? But yeah, that was just my thoughts as you guys were talking.
No, and I don't disagree with you, and I do want to step in and say, I know that we've been talking a religion like this, and I don't think we've put it in a bad light personally. I think we've raised some questions that are important. But one thing I do want to state is that lately, and I'll say lately as in the last probably year and a half, I've noticed that there are even some spiritual type people that are starting to adopt rules around it like religions do. Okay. Like if you didn't practice under this lineage of Reiki, you're not truly a Reiki master. Or if you don't have a
Yeah.
certification to be a medium, you're not really a medium. Or these type of things. And I bring that up because it's to say that neither one are perfect. Okay. Spiritualism or religion, neither one are perfect. What resonates with you, you take. It's just like I tell people all of the time, they'll ask me,
Yeah.
who did you study under? And I'm like, I developed mine with my guides and spirit. That's just the way it happened. I had a
Mhm.
couple of teachers to show me things, but that's the way it happened. And then the looks on some of their faces are very elitist. Like there is some sort of, college for spiritual snobbery or whatever that they graduated from. And they think, oh, well, you don't have a certificate. Good luck with that, right? And my question would be, well, who the hell's going to sign their certificate? God himself? I mean, who is going to sign a certificate saying it's proven that you're psychic or it's proven you can do this? So I say that just to say it can be just as toxic in the spiritual arena as it is
For
in
real.
religion in regards to what you can and can't do and be
Yeah.
allowed to do. So I just wanted to make that point because I didn't want to think we were bashing on religion and wouldn't bash on spirituality the same way because some of the issues are in both. Right.
Mhm.
Again, there are some people in spirituality that do want to control you, that want you to believe everything they
There's
believe and
still a
anything
lot of
else is wrong.
ego.
Oh, there
Yeah.
is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And if you disagree on, because I've seen that personally, where my viewpoint is slightly different than someone else's. And I always tell people that's okay because what's true for me may not be true for you. We're all part of a collective timeline, but we're all on our own individual timeline. So what could be true for me could not be true for you. Right. And like you said earlier, what resonates with you? Like sit with that information. How does it feel to you? Does it feel right? Like I remember hearing as a kid someone, and I think it was on TV or something, and someone said the word reincarnation, and it was like a light bulb went off inside of me. And I just knew that to be inherently true. I have believed in souls since I can remember. And I know there is a world beyond what we can see because I know it to be inherently true. I can feel it with every ounce of my body, but someone else may not be able to have that same sense, and that's totally okay. We're on different paths. It's okay that, we can disagree, but we need to find a way in society to,
Accept
yes,
other
each
people's
other,
beliefs. Yeah.
yes, and not allow it to divide us.
Yeah.
That's
I
really
I
well.
know I've heard several times people say, well, prove that what you're doing is right. And I'm just like, I don't have to. You
That's
prove to
right.
me that what you believe is right. And they'll just go, oh, well, the Bible. I'm like, okay, it's a book. There's no proof that you're giving me. So
Yes.
it's kind of conundrum there, right? Where they're asking you for proof, and you're like, well, show me the proof, and they just automatically believe that they're right because it's religion, and by God, you should believe it because they're saying that, right? Speaking of proof, I wanted to talk about something. It's kind of religious, but kind of not. Um,
Okay.
because it proved to me about what's going inside of me. And I kind of talked about this yesterday, but I wanted to talk to our viewers to say, um, I actually have some visual proof now of what is going on with me. Okay. I am a part, I'm not going to mention exactly what it is, but I'm a
Oh,
part of a study, a medical study that I go every week and do some work. And every 4 weeks I have to have a complete physical, basically, blood drawn, EKGs. And last month when I was there, um, they put the EKG machine on me, and they said there's something wrong here. And I was like, oh crap. And they're like, no, not with your EKG. I was like, oh, good. That's great. Normal
God.
EKG.
Whew.
But there are some artifacts here that are making the lines squiggly and fuzzy. And they're like, it's like there's electric interference in here somewhere. Empty out your pockets. My pockets are empty. They looked all around the room. There was nothing plugged in that shouldn't be. She did it again, and she said, I've got to go get some help. So she went and brought two people in. They completely took everything off of me, cleaned everything, put it back on, did it again, and then said, you know what? It's normal. We're just going to mark the chart and we'll go on our way. And I'm like, okay. And I left there and I thought, that's interesting. I wonder if that has anything to do with like my vibration and the energy that's going through me. And I'm like, no, Robbie, you're stupid. Okay. There was something wrong with you. So I went back yesterday, and she walks into the EKG machine and she goes, it's going to be great today. We replaced all the leads, replaced all the cables. I've done two this morning that were perfect. So we're going to get you out of here. And she hooked up. She goes, damn, what the hell is going on? And I said, what do you mean? She said, it's the same thing as last time. There's artifacts here and these lines are fuzzy. And I immediately thought, this is not a coincidence. This is not a coincidence. And she said, I'm going to go look at your chart and see if this is kind of what it was last time. Because if so, we're just going to print it off and be done with it. Just mark it. And so when she came back, she said, I'm going to try this one more time. And she looked down. She's like, no, it's still getting the same thing. I'm just going to print it and call it a day. And I said, I said, I think I might know what's going on here. Do you mind if I try something? And she kind of looked at me, and I closed my eyes and I just asked my guides. I said, can we please just lower the energy long enough? And she immediately goes, do not move. It's perfect. And she said, I'm printing it off right now. And she printed it. And she looked at me and she goes, I didn't do anything. What the hell did you do? And I said, well, I said, I work with energy. I'm a Reiki master. And, you may not understand. She's like, no, no, no. I get it. I understand it. You were channeling energy. And she said, I've never seen that before on an EKG. And I said, I have not either. But if I had not been there, if I had not seen the results, I never would have believed it. Um, but it was proof to me that there is a bigger energy running through my body than I ever thought possible. And I mean, show that, I mean, it was an amazing awakening moment for me to say,
that is an
all right,
amazing
Robbie, all
story.
these doubts that you've ever had, forget them, because this is actually happening to you.
Yeah,
You
True
that
know,
is an
believer.
incredible story, and that it was able to be captured like that and somebody
Yeah.
else be there. And yeah,
yeah,
I want an
it was
experience like
really
that.
an amazing thing. Yeah. And that's what I hope that everybody listening here can have that type of experience, whether it is a religious experience, whether it's a spiritual experience, whether it's an energetic experience. I hope
Yeah.
that everybody can get that moment of clarity sometimes in their life that, yeah, this is the path I need to go down. Because I know that we've been talking about religious here, but for some people, that is the route they need to go down. And that's the route that's for them. And that's okay. But don't come at me because I'm not going down the same route as you are.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my problem, is don't come at me because I don't believe the same thing you do.
I'm totally open to anybody that wants to have open conversations about it. There's no judgments. It's honestly, I'm just here trying to explore and figure out my own life, my own belief system surrounding everything. Like I'm an open book. Everybody that knows me knows I'm always willing to talk about any topic, really. Um, but yeah, if there are people that are listening that like want to explore this, don't really feel like they have a comfortable space, you can always shoot me a message and I'm happy to
Yeah.
connect and we can, form our own conversation, our own thoughts openly.
I think that's true for all of us. I think that we would all do that,
Yeah.
you know. But again, I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to get into fights about it. We can have an adult, reasonable conversation, or we can't have one at all because I'm way past. That's one of the boundaries I've put up. I'm way past trying to prove to people who I am. Accept it, don't accept it. That's it's up to you.
Yeah. I like my circle small.
Me too.
Okay, this was a great day back with you guys. Yeah, I missed doing this. This is like one of the highlights of my week. I always love checking in. It's like it's therapeutic, it's fun, it's connecting with some of my favorite people. So,
I
yeah,
agree.
we'll do this
And
again next.
I would like to say that when we started this, we had no idea the people that we would reach, if we would reach anybody, if anybody would even pay attention. And right before we took our hiatus, I actually had a reading with the woman. And I asked, how did you find me? She said, I love your podcast. And went on to talk
Wow.
about how she was so excited to listen to us every week because it was like listening to her friends just talk about um, things that things are going on in their life, and that
Makes me
we
so
were having
happy.
some of the same issues that she was experiencing, and that we were
Yeah.
helping her understand that she wasn't alone. So it really made me feel good about what we're doing. We
That's
may not
exactly
have
why we set out
thousands,
to do this.
Hmm.
exactly. We may not have thousands of viewers, but the ones that are listening, we're glad that we're able to help you if that's what's going on. I am anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly why we said we wanted to do this was to help people connect with people and just raise ideas and conversations with people. This was always going to be an open conversation, no matter what topics. We don't all have the same belief systems. Us three, we don't. There's things we disagree with one another, and that's totally okay because we're not here to conform anybody to being like
No,
us.
no.
Just being.
If everybody was like me, it'd be a boring. I mean, it'd be kind of interesting, but it would be boring. You know,
They'd all
it
be
would be.
extremely good looking.
Oh well, you can say that again. No, I'm kidding. Yeah.
Oh, this was fun. Okay. I
All
guess
right.
we'll do
Well,
this again next week.
yeah,
Well,
I'll be here next week. Heather, will you be?
I will.
And I most definitely will be.
All
All
right.
right. Take care, everybody.
Okay.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening.